The topic is the Merkava. Okay? The Merkava means the chariot. In simple English, Merkava means the chair on which the Eibishter sits. In other words, the Merkava is not God. It's his angels. It's the first yesod you have to know about the Merkava is that the Merkava is not seeing God, the Eibishter. It's seeing what's around the Eibishter. For the simple and very logical reason that the Eibishter is invisible. He's not only invisible physically, he's invisible on any level and in any way and in any form and in any context. So the idea of saying the Merkava, which is frequently misunderstood and misinterpreted, is not about seeing the Eibush, it's about seeing what we call Elokus, Hishtalshalos. So there's a great story with the Baal Shem Tov. A mashal for the Baal Shem Tov, I'm sorry. The Baal Shem Tov goes like this. You have a bunch of people who are invited as a group to visit with a king. Most of the people in delegation are sophisticated, cultured, educated people. And each one or each group has a different specialty. And then there are a few guys whose specialty is shooting the breeze, no good. They're taking off kaparas. They have no milas whatsoever. This entire delegation is invited into the palace at 9 in the morning and told that they should meet the king at 3 in the afternoon. So the whole delegation marches into the palace, and slowly but surely the delegation begins to dwindle. Why? As soon as they walk into the gardens, the landscapers, the people experts at the front of a building stop to look at the gardening, the flowers. They continue to walk. They walk into the building. The architects get stuck at the entrance and the staircases and the huge tall ceilings without any beams and so forth. You know how the whole art, the whole science of being able to build gigantic rooms with huge ceilings and no pillars to hold it up. It's a science. It's an architecture. They go a little further, and the musicians listen to the band, and they get distracted. The orchestra, and they based off the people who are interested in flooring. The artists get interested in the art. The aroma experts notice the wonderful smells in the palace. By the time they get into the interior, by the time it's 10:15 in the morning, most of the people in the delegation are distracted, keeping track of the time. They're waiting for 3 o'clock to hit. Who's continuing walking towards the king? The people don't understand anything. They don't appreciate landscaping and architecture and interior design and music and sound and smell and taste. 10:30, they walk into the king's palace, king's room, and the king says, "Oh, I've been waiting for you." I'm waiting for you. When the other guys show up at 3 o'clock, he says, "It's nice for you to come, but I'm already in the middle of the session. I'm meeting here with the people who came to see me." This is the Moshe from the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov brings a pasuk, "Tefillah la'onich yata v'pnei havai yishpech sichei," that the poor person's prayer reaches direct to the Eibishter. So it says in Zayah that the oni goes on Mashiach. Fragt sich the kasha, why do you call Mashiach the poor person? And the answer is because you can't distract him. You can show him all the wealth, all the glory, all the giluyim in the world, and he goes straight into the melech. This is the mashal. Why am I bringing up this mashal? What is the nimshal for this mashal, as far as we're concerned now? And the answer that I say is, the nimshal for this mashal is very, very simple. If you could talk to the Eibishter directly, you're not paying attention to the furniture. Any human being who is refined enough and tuned in enough and sensitized enough to be zoichet a gili anavua, where he could speak to the Eibishter himself, is not going to stop paying attention if the malachim have 4 wings or 6 wings or 1 eye or 2 eyes or 7 eyes or malayas einayim and so forth. When you see the king, you don't see the furniture. However, if you are destined to see the king, and for whatever reason, your vision of him is impaired, your ability to see the king is diminished, it's compromised, so in your inability to see the king, you start paying attention to secondary things, you start noticing the furniture. And this is really the foundation of the study of the Merkava. What is the Merkava? The Merkava is the Eibishter's furniture. That's what it is. It's everything about the Eibishter except the Eibishter himself. What we would call in Kabbalah form, say the Hishtalshalos or Giluyim. Behind all of this is Atzmas Amhus. Who is the first Navi to notice the furniture? The first one, Yeshaya Navi, who lived 100 years before Beis HaMikdash. Okay, the Kabbalah will tell you that there's 4 Merkavas. There's the Merkava of the Ovis. They didn't see the Merkava, they were the Merkava. And then there's the Merkava of Yeshaya, and the Merkava of Yechezkel, and the Merkava of Zechariah. which is the Haftarah of Yisrael and the Haftarah of Shavuos and the Haftarah of Chanukah, respectively, which is also called Bria, Yetzira, and Asir. And what is the rule? The rule is Yeshaya HaNavi was the highest Madregeh. So even though Yeshaya HaNavi is close enough to the Churban for us to say that he doesn't see the Eibishter clearly, and as a consequence he's paying attention to the furniture, but if you look at Yeshaya HaNavi's description of the Merkava, it's about 2 psukim long. It's very short. Why? Because when you're in Elam Abriya, you're close enough to the Eibishter to see the Eibishter well enough to pay attention only to the most important pieces of furniture. Yeshaya doesn't see a lot. He sees very little. He describes a very small amount. His describing little is not a chsad, it's a mailu. In other words, all the Nevi'im until Yeshaya, what they would have in Nevuah, were experiencing Yechezkel in such a way, it's not that they didn't see the Merkava. It's who's going to waste time with the furniture, you're meeting a king. The first Navi even bothered noticing a stop sound that she given Yeshaya, and it has to do with the Tzimtzum and the Hell. Yechezkel's on a much lower Madrege, and therefore his description of the Divine Chariot is most explicit and most elaborate and most detailed. In fact, Yechezkel have twice. Kapitel Aleph in Yechezkel is in Merkava, and Kapitel Yud in Yechezkel is Merkava a second time. And Yechezkel's Merkava is incredibly detailed. Okay? Now, it happens that if you will combine the Merkava of Yechezkel and Yeshaya, you'll get a more comprehensive picture. In other words, they don't say the same thing. Yeshaya says a little bit about Bria, and Yechezkel says a lot more about Yetzirah and then even about Asiyah. So when you combine the different Merkavas, you get different wholenesses, v'mizak. But this is the rule. The rule is that the closer you are to the Eibishter, the less you pay attention to the furniture. The first Navi to even notice that there's anything but the Eibishter himself in the experience of Nevuah was Yeshaya, because he inhaled the Hest. Okay? Now, there's an interesting detail, which I'm going to mention now as an introduction, that separates Merkavas Yeshaya from Merkavas Yechezkel. That in Merkavas Yeshaya, the Malachim have 6 wings. And in the Merkavas Yechezkel, the Malachim have 4 wings. So the Gemara says this has to do with the difference between times of the Beis HaMikdash and times of Golos, however the Gemara words it. Why? What does it mean to have 4 wings? What does it mean to have 6 wings? So it says in the Pasuk, B'shtayim echas afon, of 2 wings cover the face. B'shtayim echas araglo, 2 wings cover the vid. B'shtayim ye'efef, and 2 wings you fly with. What does that mean? 2 wings you're covering your face, so you shouldn't be overwhelmed by the light which is higher than you. 2 wings you're covering your feet, so you shouldn't overwhelm the malachim that are beneath you. And 2 wings you fly with these 2 wings, you have a connection to the Eibishter. So the malachim in Yeshaya is Nevuah, Yeshaya is Merkava, we're in higher madreges, manabayas. So the malachim's wings are not just levushim hama'alima, they're not just garments either to block themselves from too much light or block too much light from this that are beneath them. But they have 2 wings with which to fly. Yechezkel is speaking about the Merkava in times of Golos, later. So his malachim have only 4 wings. That's just an example. And there are many other differences between Merkavas Yeshaya and Merkavas Yechezkel, in addition to the fact that Yechezkel's Merkava is much more elaborate and Yeshaya's is very brief, very concise, because they're seeing different chariots. But remember the rule. Shmuel HaNavi was a greater Navi than Yechezkel and Yeshaya by far. How come it doesn't describe the Merkava? Who's going to pay attention to furniture if you're seeing the Eibishter?
No, where do they come off with wings? That's where
in all the movies about the Merkava, they have wings.
That's where they get it from.
In the movies.
Yeah.
The movies took it from the Tanakh, but the Tanakh took it from the movies. Every single detail of the Merkava has a pshat. The only thing you have to know about all the details in the Merkava is that nothing is literal. Right. If you explain it literally, then you're a pashtan. You know, I once told you the word that the Rebbe said about a certain person. The Rebbe Marash was a very big goan. He thought he was a big makubal, but he had no chush and ruchnis. So the Rebbe Marash said, "Afer da pashtan, aves gofen ken himmel nicht." He learned a lot of Kabbalah, but he understood Kabbalah like it's plumbing. Here, you know, it's ruchnis. So this is the first thing you have to understand: that there are 4 madreges of Merkava. The obvious are the Merkava in Atzilus. Right, this is Chedesh Iyar, or whatever. We were Chedesh Iyar last week, yeah? Avraham, Yitzchak, Yankiv, Rachel. Iyar is 4 letters. Avraham, Yitzchak, Yankiv, Rachel. Those are the 4 Ragla Merkava. That's Atzilus. The Merkava of Bria is Yeshaya's Merkava. The Merkava of Yetzirah is Yechezkel's Merkava. And the Merkava of Asiyah is Zechariah's Merkava. Okay? And this is what we are going to, this is how we're going to approach this issue. We're going to be learning Merkava Yechezkel. Keep in mind that Merkava Yechezkel talks about everything except for the Eibishter himself. I mean, what I just said is not entirely true, but it's true enough. We're going to be discussing alles was is arum dem Eibishter, the Hishtalshalos, the Malachim, the whole Sturim, but not the Eibishter himself. Now let me say one other thing. I learned the Rambam's Mir Nevuchim. Now the Rambam Mir Nevuchim is a sefer that, in his own words, was designed to be disorganized. Rambam writes in introduction, he dafke made it disorderly. Why? Because if he makes it too orderly, it'll be too easy for people to understand, and then the wrong people will learn it. In other words, he dafke made it confusing. But the emphasis is not that confusing. I mean, you go through the Mir Nevuchim, there's a pattern. Maybe if you were writing the Mir Nevuchim, you would put it in a different order, but the Mir Nevuchim pretty much has a pattern. Part of the discussion of the Mir Nevuchim is a very lengthy expose on Nevuah. Chelik Shein Mir Nevuchim, beginning with, I think, Perek Lamed Beis, something like that. The Rambam was talking about Nevuah. The whole end of the Chelik Shein Mir Nevuchim is about Nevuah. Then he starts Chelik Shlishi. The first 7 or 8 prakim of Chelik Shlishi are also about Nevuah. The difference is that in Chelik Sheni he talks about the philosophy of Nevuah. And in the beginning of Chelik Shlishi, what the Rambam does is he talks about the Merkava. 8 prakim, then talks about the Merkava. And the Rambam did something incredibly creative, and typically Rambam. Everybody knows that no one understands the Merkava. It's a mystery, right? I didn't give you an English translation. I once gave a share in the Merkava with English translation, and I had more trouble than I could handle. Really doesn't make one bit of sense. It's just words, you know. It's like what's the word? Science fiction. What's made us? What's the oimek hadavar? It doesn't make any sense. The Rambam wants to open up the Merkava, and the Rambam says, "I am going to explain to you absolutely nothing. I'm only going to do one thing. I'm going to tell you each point that has depth. I'm going to tell you where you should park it. I'm not going to tell you what it means, because it'll take me pages and pages and pages. I'm simply going to tell you what's a diyuk." And the Rambam does that. And what is accomplished by the Rambam simply telling you what is an observation, if you learn him in Nevuchim, is that it pashut. In other words, without the Rambam telling you any pshat, he's opening up the Merkava. It's a classic Rambam ploy. I'm just going to tell you what to think about, and then you could think about it. And if you've learned an Yechezkel or a lot of Chassidus, a little Chassidus, you can begin to appreciate what's going on simply by the Rambam making his observations. Okay? And one of the things that the Rambam does is he says that there's significance in the dates and the time and the places of the Merkava. Every single little detail about the Merkava is very precise and very, very, is worth analyzing, as we're going to see in a moment. In a couple of minutes I'll get to the text, but one more little point, then I'll get to the text. How do I explain this to you? A group of Nevi'im see the Eibishter. Last time I checked, there's only one Eibishter. Correct? Yet these Nevi'im see very different experiences. Why? Number one, they see different experiences because every one of them is in a different world. Has a different personality. And the Nevuah is according to the person. And then there's the number two. The number two is that every Nevuah is in a different world. You know, there's a word which in our culture is used far too much. Paradigm. Right? And then it goes paradigm shift. What does the word paradigm connote? What does it mean, basically? We're close. Paradigm means the definition of normal. I guess that's a good way to put it. What is the paradigm right now? That religion is terrible, God we have to think about, and the most important thing in the world is to save the whales. That's the paradigm. 50 years ago there was a very different paradigm. 50 years from now there will again be a different paradigm, right? If you'll live 50 years from today with today's hashkafas, you'll be a first-class meshuggah. 50 years ago, or vice versa. If you have a hashkafah today, which will only be known by the society in 50 years, you're an extremist. Why? You have the wrong paradigm. In the future it's going to become the paradigm. Right now, thus haste no man. So you're talking about different Nevi'im who are having a vision of Elokus. And based on the vision of Elokus, they're communicating to us. And then, of course, you have a lower level of people who, because they're not able to see the Eibishter clearly, they pay attention to the furniture. What are they seeing? In other words, what's considered normal for them? And of course, the answer depends on what world they're in. In Yeshaya HaNavi's world, in Yeshaya HaNavi's Tanakh, what I think is Yeshaya Perek Vav, when the Yeshaya talks about Merkava, he's also talking about Elam Abriya. According to Yeshaya, there's also an Elam HaYetzira, an Elam HaSiyah, an Elam HaTzilus, but that's either above the paradigm or beneath the paradigm. Here we're reading Yechezkel's Nevuah. Yechezkel's Elam HaYetzira. So from Yechezkel's point of view, the paradigm is Yetzirah. To use different words, the Malachim of Elam Abriya are called Srafim. The Malachim of Elam HaYetzira are called Chayas. And the Malachim of Elam HaSiyah are called which ones do we say inside this? Srafim, Chayas, and the Eifanim. The Malachim of Elam HaSiyah are Eifanim. So when you read the Tanakh in Yechezkel, the paradigm is Yetzirah. So he starts off talking about the Malachim called Chayas HaKodesh. He mentions the Eifanim also. But he mentions the Eifanim afterwards. In other words, you're walking into the door of the Merkava on the second floor. And that's what you see. That's normal. He describes a little bit what's below him. He describes a little bit what's above him. But that is, in context, all relating to his perspective, his point of view. The point of view of Zechariah, of Yechezkel, is Elam HaYetzirah. Okay? So, as we start to learn, keep in mind the foundation of the idea. First of all, no one is describing the Eibishter. The Eibishter is indescribable. We're describing his furniture, what's around him, the Merkava, the Malachim, and so on. Second of all, in order to be in a place where you describe the Merkava, you have to be on such a low level that you're not able to see the Eibishter clearly, and by the virtue of the fact that you can't see the Eibishter, you bother paying attention to the secondary thing, namely the furniture. That's how you have to approach the Merkava, which is, it's very meaningful. It answers a lot of questions and it creates a lot of nuance, but nevertheless, this is the point. So let's begin the Sefer Yechezkel. Vayehi, and it was B'Shleishim Shana in the 30th year, Baravi'i in the 4th month, that means Tammuz, B'Chamisha L'Chodesh on the 5th day of the month, Hey Tammuz, Va'ani B'Teich HaGoylim. I found myself in Golus. Where was I in Golus? Al Nahar Kvar, on the river called Kvar. And Yechezkel continues and he says, Niftechu Hashamayim, the heavens opened up, Vo'ere Maretz Elikim, and I saw the likeness of God. It's a great first pasuk. He gives you a time, and a place, and an event. It was the 30th year, the 5th day of the 1st month, and I was in Golus on the Har Kvar. The heavens opened up, and I saw the image of God. Problem number 1. There's a Gemara that says that there's no Nevuah in Chutz La'aretz. There's no Nevuah in Chutz La'aretz. How could Yechezkel Babuzi have a Nevuah in the Har Kvar in Golus? So there's different answers to the question. One of the answers is he was actually in Eretz Yisrael. And in his vision, he saw that he's in Golus. Well, he was pushed in Israel, but he had a vision as though he's in Golus. We others hold that no, he was Taka in Golus. How could another be a Chutz La'aretz and have a Nevuah? The Torah says if you came from Eretz Yisrael, you could be Mistab in Chutz La'aretz as well. When you learn the Rambam, especially the Rebbe learns the Sichas and Rambam, there is no such limitation. It may be true that it's easier to have Nevuah in Eretz Yisrael, but the Rambam does not say that one of the stipulations for becoming a Navi is living in Eretz Yisrael. He doesn't say that at all. So the Yechezkel says, I had an experience and I was in Golus. Whether you translate it, he was literally in Golus, but he could have a Nevuah in Golus, or you translate that he was prophetically in Golus, one thing is for sure. Where does Yechezkel Babuzi see the Merkava? In Golus. Why?
Where does he have to see it? Where's what?
Where is Yechezkel Babuzi going to see the chariot of the Eibishter in Golus? Why? Because in Eretz Yisrael he'll see the Eibishter. That's why. In Zman Habayis, if you have a higher Gilui. If you have a higher Gilui, you're not going to notice the furniture. In other words, the foundation of the Merkava of Yechezkel is Hidhelem V'Hester. Right? People don't learn Chassidus and Kabbalah, which are most people, by the way, including most Chassidim. Nobody learns enough to, so to speak, feel the stuff. Oh, Yechezkel, wow, Kabbalah, don't make me nervous. When you learn Chassidus, you start to realize, somebody once said Alter Rebbe to say, my mother man Kabbalah. Alter Rebbe said, Kabbalah is Sachakal Ishtalshalos. We're talking about the Eibishter. What's Ishtalshalos to me? That's the word. Bani b'seich ha'geil al-mahan kavod ha'yesam and golos, and ha'yes is a helen v'hester. This is why he's experiencing niftach v'ashamayim v'her manas alakim. Why is he seeing manas alakim? Because of b'seich ha'geil. Now wait, the story goes on. I didn't copy Pedic Yud because I was cheap, really more on the time than the paper. I came so late, especially waiting for the copies to finish. But in Pedic Yud, he has a second experience. And the second time it says that he has the vision in Yerushalayim. Not in Chutz La'aretz. Stimmt doch nicht?
Once you don't see it, you don't see it.
Or differently. Once you didn't see the Eibishter, and you notice the furniture, and you realize how meaningful the furniture is, then you're in Yerushalayim. Chachafilu, you have a greater Gilead Lakus. You continue paying attention to the furniture. In fact, in the second Merkava, there's details that he has that he didn't see the first time around. Had he never been in Golos, in other words, he had never been in a position where Lakus was so foggy, so vague, that as a consequence he's noticing the Merkava, he would never say a Merkava. Once he saw the Merkava, so when he comes back to Yerushalayim, Faket, now he sees the Merkava even more. And the Rambam says every aspect in this pasuk is precise. Shleishim Shana is precise. Baravi, which means Chedesh Tammuz, is precise. Ba'chamisha L'Chedesh is precise. V'ni B'tei Hagel is precise. And the Rambam says, you figure it out. I will nishmaz b'zayin. So I'm going to tell you at least one detail. What's the cheshbon of B'Shleishim Shana, the 30th year of a Pashta Gedarik? It says in Rishonim, it says in Pashta Vayeshev, by the mice with Peretz and Zerach, they bring generations over there, that from Avraham Avinu until Tzidkiyahu and Yechani Melch Yehuda, in whose times the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, they were brothers, right? Tzidkiyahu, Yechani was captured, taken to Babel, his brother took him over, and then Tzidkiyahu was also captured and was destroyed. It's 30 generations. What's the cheshbon of 30 generations? It's like a lunar cycle. You're born, you grow. What's the 15th generation? David is 14 and Shlomo is 15. That's why they were the glorious times. The Beis Hamikdash is destroyed in the 30th generation, just like the moon. When the moon vanishes, it's erased. But of course, the good news is, after the moon disappears, a new moon reappears. Correct? And that's the diak Vayi B'Shleishim Shana.
Which one are we in now?
I'll tell you in 1 second. I'll tell you my opinion.
Is it a new moon or the same moon? Considered a new moon?
Of course. So Vayi B'Shleishim means it's the 30th year. What does that mean, 30th year? The Beis Hamikdash is being destroyed. Yidden are going into Golos. In other words, the end of the cycle of Gilead Lakus associated with Bayis Rishon, which was a tkufa full of Gilead Nevuah. And as a result of the fact that it's full of a tkufa of Gilead Nevuah, nobody notices the Merkava. Yechezkel says, I do. Verstehst? Why? Because he b'shleishim shana. And you can also explain Baravi, you can also explain B'chei Chedesh, but we'll be here all night if we say. You can sit and mamish translate every single detail of these psukim and extract incredible wisdom, incredible meaning. And the essence of the meaning in this pasuk and also the second pasuk is that the whole Yesod of the Merkava is Helen V'Hester. Now, let me answer your question, and this is totally speculative. This is totally imaginary. But first I'll tell you a fact. The fact is that Rebbe Tkoch Mashiach, Rebbe Mashiach is coming, and the Rebbe connected Mashiach to Moiled, Matzasi David Abdi, the birth of a new moon. You find Mashiach. Kum Tachai is that Mashiach is the beginning of the month. If Mashiach is the beginning of the month, you have to say that the last 7 generations were the last 7 generations of a month, which if you look at Yiddish Tzaras, doesn't sound like such a far-fetched idea. Correct?
That's the worst.
The last 7 from the Alter Rebbe till now, yeah? However, if you're a Lubab who drank the Kool-Aid, as we all did, Baruch Hashem, yeah, you think, oh, well, it's never been better, we have 7 Be'im and so on, and such a. But I just want to say one thing. There's 7 generations of the Alter Rebbe to the Rebbe, right? But it says in the introduction to the Yom Yom that there's 7 generations from the Maram, the Prat, to the Alter Rebbe. So I've long had this thought that however you slice it, from the Maral till the Rebbe is a half a month. Whether it's from the beginning of the month to the middle of the month, the Rebbe is the full Kalmi, or it's from the middle of the month to the end of the month, but these 14 generations constitute a unit of time associated with Pnimius HaTorah, which brings in a new era. Either now the moon is full, or the moon has sunk and a new one is going to be born, which is the Inyan HaMashiach. So there's an answer to your question. But what I just said has absolutely no basis in fact. This is a delusion of a delusional fellow.
Based on whatever, we should be in the 15th there. Based on the Rebbe and all that, we should be...
The 15th year is when the cycle starts.
Right, isn't that the height?
No, the first year when the cycle starts.
But the 15th is the...
The highest point, yeah, but the Rebbe himself spoke that the Inyan of Mashiach is his birth.
Oh, okay.
He emphasized, that's what he says, but Mashiach is about Nafla, Mashiach is supposed to die in childbirth, and it's a big nest that he's born. And the whole reason is because Mashiach is new, and of course when the baby is born he may be very small, but he's going in a positive direction. That's why by us, by Yidden B'chlal, we prefer to make weddings in the first half of the month rather than the second half of the month, because the growing moon means the growing Jewish people, and so forth. Stays. And that's the diak we b'shleishim shana. And then Mistach 4 has an explanation. The Merkava has 4 legs. 5 has an explanation. Va'ani b'teich agoyla. The word ani connotes a low level. He's in Golos, and this is why niftuch hashamayim, the heavens open. V'eramaz lakim, I see the likeness of God. Now, what's that niftuch hashamayim? So to use language of Kabbalah and Chassidus, which is familiar to you, I'm sure to some extent, this is what's called levushim. Right? Why don't we see godliness? Because there's garments. There's things preventing us from seeing the transcendent, seeing what is beyond. Niftuch hashamayim means the Eibush takes away his levushim. And when the Eibush takes away his levushim, you see what's behind the garments. That's what, right? But what garment is shamayim? Does he have in the Bar Mitzvah Maimer? You still remember? Who's the youngest one? Who can I bother? Yeah, Levi is not here. He's in Atlavnik in South America. Shamayim is Eishumayim. Very good. Shamayim is Eishumayim. Remember? Shamayim is fire and water. So however you explain it, fire and water are 2 of the 4 elements that are Eidele. They're not offer. They're not Ruach, but they're not offer. And they constitute a Ruchni Yizdika Levush. It does not allow one to see a Lakus. And Yechezkel Mabuzi says, I find myself in Golos. Niftuch hashamayim, the Levush Ruchni of Eishu Mayim is removed. Va'er, I'm able to see Mares, the images, the likenesses of Shem Elokim. Doesn't say Va'er Mares Havaya. Mares Elokim. Correct? And of course, there's 2 diyukim. What does the word Mares mean? Images. Pictures of. Lashon Rabin. Last time I checked, there's only one Eibishter. Right? Maras Elokim means the visuals of God, because Elokim doesn't mean the Eibishter. Elokim means godliness. In fact, Elokim means godliness in a sufficient state of tzimtzum that a novel like Yechezkel ben Buzi, V'ani b'teich hagel nahar kvar, who's only experiencing this nevu and seeing the Merkava, because Allah has vested him, he sees a diversity of Giluyim because he's seeing it in a lower madreg. I saw once in a mind, I saw twice.
Images of gods.
Godliness. Whenever you say gods, it doesn't mean gods, it means godliness. I saw in a mind, you have it not teres in a mind, I also saw it in Hemshchaim Beis, the third Chelik. A very interesting word. That we benefit the most from the lowest Nevi'im. And we benefit the least from the highest Nevi. Why? This is a great adage. I'm sorry?
You understand them.
Because the greater they were, the less they said. And the lower they were, the more verbose they were. The later Nevi'im, in other words, they saw furniture. Furniture you can talk about. The Eibusha in Shtavas Sareid. And this is the Mile of Yechezkel Buzi. The reason a whole Kabbalah is based on this. Why? Because he was low enough a Navi to notice that there's something called Tzeder Ishtalshalus, or what we called before furniture, and therefore it's his chos that we have a shaykhas to do. Tzeder Ishtalshalus, Kalakus. Taste. And he continues in Pasuk Beis. On the 5th day of the 4th month, he, and this 30th year was Hashana HaChamishis, Legolos HaMalach Yehoyachin. It was the 5th year since Yechoniah was exiled, and it was the 30th year of whatever. Now the Mefarshim say that the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed in Shnas Lamed Vov. of Shemitah, of a Yovel. Last year, your father asked me for a cheshbon. I went and I found the Tanakh, the cheshbon of Neshantim. How do you have 70 Yidden were in Gauls for 70 years, because 70 years Yidden didn't keep Shemitah. So it says in Rashi that the Gauls happened B'shnas Lamed Vav, the 36th year, which is, of course, Motzai Shemitah. The 35th year would have been the 5th Shemitah in a cycle of 7. The 36th year would have been what we call today Hakel. Right? These were destroyed in the 36th year. Yechezkel was exiled in the 25th year. And Tzidkiyahu ruled for 11 years. So Shloshim Shana, 30 years of the Shemitah means 5 years after Yechezkel's exile and 6 years before Tzidkiyahu's exile. Let's push up the mathematics. Okay? So B'Chodesh, B'Chamisha L'Chodesh, the 5th day of the 4th month, which was the Ashana HaChamishis, the 5th year of 11 years. L'Gos HaMelech Yochanan, between the Gos HaMelech Yochanan, Yechezkel Muzi has a vision. Hoyoy, hoyo, devar havaya. There was the word of the Eibishter, Yechezkel ben Muzi Akein, Yechezkel ben Muzi Akein be'eretz Kastim. Kastim means Bavel. Al Nahar Kavar, v'tehi Yolav Sham, Yad Havaya. Even though he was in Chutz La'aretz, the hand of God was upon him. Has anybody ever felt the hand of God? I will admit personally that I never experienced the hand of God, and somehow I think it's good that I'm not experiencing the hand of God. Obviously, the hand of God doesn't mean hand, right? It's an inyan, it's a concept, it's a certain madrega of gilui, right? And if you wanted to really nitpick, what would you say about a hand that's made up of fingers? What does the figure represent? The power of the hand is distributed into 5 parts. This has Chassidus. When you make a fist, the whole force of the hand is in the fist. When you open up your fingers, the power is divided into 5 aspects. Each finger has less power than the whole fist, which shows an inyan from tzimtzum. But on the other hand, it also shows an inyan from dexterity, exactness. When you use your fingers rather than make a fist, you can use your fingers in a manipulative way. And Haya, all of Yad Havaya means both of those things. That Yechezkel experiences the hand of God. The hand of God both connotes a certain kind of revelation, but the hand of God also connotes how the revelation of the Eibishter is divided up into the 5 fingers. In other words, the infant tzimtzum. So Yechezkel and Buddha should be able to experience it. Va'era, I had a vision. What's the first thing Yechezkel Buzi sees? I'll read the pasuk. You tell me what it means. V'hine, behold, ruach sa'ara, a stormy wind. Ba'am and Atzafin is coming from the north. Anan gadol, a great cloud, ve'eish mislakachas, and a flakadindike, crackling fire. V'negal esaviv, and around these 3 things, the storming wind and the big cloud and the hot fire, there was something called noiga. Noiga means a dim light. Umitecha, and when I looked past this initial vision, and what was the initial vision? Ruach sa'ara, anan gadol, and eish mislakachas. And then beyond the Ruach Sa'ara and the Anan Gadol and Eish Mislakachas, I also saw Noiga, Umitoicha, and inside the Noiga, Ke'ein Chashma HaChashma M'derech Eish. I was able to discern between the flames of fire that there's a phenomenon called Chashmal. We'll visit Chashmal another time, right? But what does this mean? What does Ruach Sa'ara, Anan Gadol, and Eish Mislakachas refer to, and what does Noiga refer to? Tanya Sof Pedig Vov.
Is Shurach mine also?
Shalosh Klipas at me is Agami and Klipas Neged. Ruach Sa'ara, look in Tanya. Ruach Sa'ara, Anan Gadol, and Eish Mislakachas, Shalosh Klipas Agami. So what's Nega? Klipas Nega. In other words, Yechezkel's vision is starting from the outside in. Right? You learn Kabbalah. Look, take an Eitz Chaim. So they describe what's called Hecholos. Every world has Hecholos. How many Hecholos? They have 7 Hecholos. Hecholos means a world's periphery. The center of the world is the Beis HaMikdash, there's the Sfiris, the Shechina. The further away you go from the center, the more Halamas Vestadim. The 7th Hechol is what you call Gehenim and Klipis. Yeah? So Yechezkel Babuzi is seeing the Merkava from the outside in. So the first thing that he sees Klippa. But he forces his way through the Halamas Vestadim of the Klippa, and he gets beyond the 3 klippas, which are called Ruach and Anan and Eish. And of course, if you were a rabbi or a scholar, you would figure out why Shalosh klippas at Mezagamba compared to Ruach, Anan and Eish. He even gets past klippas Noiga, and he gets past the fire, and he sees something called chashmal. Now the way I translate the fire means gevura. What is the reason that he's able to see chashmal beyond sholosh klipas atmeis legamri and klipas nega, to begin to go into the beginnings of what are the reshus of kedusha because of tzimtzumim eish. The fire, in other words, the tzimtzumim associated with fire, allows Yechezkel Buzi to see beyond. And what did he see? He sees chashmal. Now, in modern Hebrew, chashmal means electricity. I don't know how electricity became chashmal. Which great genius correlated electricity with chashmal? But the word chashmal is here. And I promise you, chashmal does not mean the Niagara Falls. Or some other kind of a system of producing electricity. Chashmal is two words. Choshmo, silence and speaking. So chashmal means silence and speech. What's better, silence or speech? Silence. Silence connotes connection to higher. Speech means we're connected to lower. So silence and speech means what we would call in our culture, Atzev Shuv. It's an irritated being. He's not totally at peace in a Maimed Matzav of Chosh. He's not totally at peace in a Maimed Matzav of Mol. Chosh means connection to higher. Mol means connection to lower. So we're describing a godliness which is dynamic. That's the word. Moving. Right? I'm going to ask a dumb rhetorical question. Which inyan in godliness is totally not dynamic? Completely stable. Totally static. Not changing at all. The Eibishter. Elakah. Right? Elakus is in a state of movement. Why? It has to connect to the Eibishter and reveal. That's the V'shev. So Chashmal means Yechezkel and Buzi, he gets it. I get past Sholz Beis Legamri. I get past Klipas Megan. Then there's an Eish. There's a curtain of Tzimtzum. And I see through the Eish Chashmal that Elakus is dynamic. In other words, there's something to look at. If the Elakus was completely silent, Yechezkel and Buzi says there's nothing to see. The Eibishter is also silent. But a Yes, it's Chashmal. Since it's dynamic, godliness that's dynamic, in other words, it has detail, it has energy, there's things going on, we can describe. And then he begins to describe more, and the next pasuk he speaks about the Chayes HaKodesh. This is what I told you in my introduction, that his perspective is Elam HaYetzirah. This is where he's coming from.